Greetings, math persons. Don't be afraid to learn from your mistakes. What we have in this question is we're asked to find the domain and range of this equation, which we could also call a function. And the domain is the possible values of x. On the graph, what that translates to is how far to the left, what is the furthest to the left that it goes, and what is the furthest to the right that this graph goes. On the other hand, the range has to do with the possible values of y, or the outputs. X is the independent variable, and that's the input. Y is the dependent variable and the output. So on the graph, the range is, you're thinking about what's the lowest the graph goes, what is the highest the graph goes. All right, so looking at this version of the graph, the blue line represents an approximation of the domain on the x number line. So it looks like this graph goes infinitely to the right, but it only goes about somewhere in this neighborhood to the left. Now, you'll need to use the equation to figure out exactly how far to the left. And likewise, for the range, or y, it looks like the graph goes infinitely high and has some lower limit, but I haven't drawn that to an exact spot. To get the exact answers, what you need to think about is what is the smallest value of x that can go into this, can be an input here. And that has to do with what kinds of numbers are you allowed to use under a square root and still get a real number result. Okay. On the other hand, for the range, or y, the outputs, it looks, what we're trying to figure out is how low this goes. And it looks like it goes low when the graph goes far to the right. So another way of thinking of it is the graph goes lower and lower and lower, the bigger the value of the input that you're putting in. So let's put in some large input, like either 1,000,000 or even 1,000,000,000, and see how small this gets, and see if we can determine what is the lower limit of this graph. Okay, so that's some hints. I noticed that there were some answer choices for you to pick from, and from those hints, I think you can figure out which one of those you're going to choose. Thanks for watching.